Please keep us safe on the ocean. Amen.
Amen.
The day had finally come where we could cast off our lines and set out to do what we started almost 2 years ago. When Mike retired from the Army after almost 34 years, he had a dream of spending his first few years after retirement doing something different with his family, as he just wasn't ready to settle down into a normal civilian life yet. We didn't realize, however, that those first 2 years would be spent refitting an old boat to make it safe and ready for our family. So in some respects, our planned timeline is a little off. But we have found that boat life isn't intended to be a plan. It's based on God's plan, Mother Nature's plans, the condition of your boat, and the skills you learn along the way. So after a much longer than intended, hard and expensive refit process, it was time to put up or shut up. We found another boat in our marina with more blue water experience than us, and they were going in the same direction, so we decided to buddy boat with them, which basically means same day, same direction. It's just a good way to have someone within radio distance. Our journey was to be just over 400 nautical miles from Kemah, Texas to Gulfport, Mississippi. It would take approximately 3 to 4 days and nights going nonstop, which meant not getting much sleep, doing shifts, and being prepared for just about anything. It was January, so it was cold and wet, but we bought good rain gear and chose the best day we could find despite the winter weather. We knew the first day offshore wouldn't be pleasant and might make for some bumpy conditions with rain and wind on our nose, but I'm not sure we were fully prepared for what we got. What we ended up with for almost a full 24 hours was heavy rain, strong winds, big waves, and a lot of chaos to our relatively inexperienced crew. I filmed as much as I could in the beginning, but at some point I had to put my camera down, focus on supporting our captain, keeping our kids calm, cleaning up everything that got knocked around the boat, and just trying not to freak myself out. Initially, we had hoped to do some sailing when the winds got more manageable, so Mike had prepped the sail prior to us leaving. But then it became obvious that we weren't going to sail on this particular day, and that's when he noticed that the wind was actually pulling our mainsail out of the sail bag, which could have been catastrophic in super high winds. That meant he had to venture out onto deck during the storm to stop the sail from coming out and to re-secure the halyard. Not something we'd ever practiced in bad weather before, so he had to do the best he could with the bouncy, rainy, salty, slippery, rolly, high wind conditions. If you watch in the background during his time on deck, you'll see just how high our bow of our boat was bouncing in the water and how much water was splashing over onto the deck. Many times during that day, we had waves come up over the top of our Bimini enclosure, completely soaking it and leaking into the cockpit. Fortunately, we have a full enclosure which protected us for the bulk of the wind, water, and extreme temperatures. To complete this task, he would have to climb up the mast a few steps and grab the halyard. In hindsight, he realizes he should have tethered himself not just to the jack line, but also to the mast, because one arm was holding himself onto the mast while the other arm was doing all the work. It was very scary for me to watch. It took him a while to finish, so I wasn't able to completely film the entire process, as I also had to pay attention while at the helm and keep track of what was happening down below with our two very seasick teenagers. But my main focus was keeping an eye on Mike in case, God forbid, he ended up plunging into the sea. Throughout the night, the storm raged, and all we could do was listen to our boat slam into the waves and pray it held together. We got no sleep, so we just sat side by side at the helm, holding hands and praying. I don't have footage of the entire ordeal, which is fine by me, as there's just some experiences not worth reliving. Fortunately, by sunrise, the seas had finally calmed down and we were able to assess boat damages and check the crew's morale. Day 2 was much less dramatic, and by sunrise on day 3, we pulled into Grand Isle, Louisiana to fill up on diesel for the last leg of our trip. We then entered the mouth of the Mississippi River, began our way north, expecting a short hop up the river, across the pass, and out into the Mississippi Sound. But as this entire trip proves, nothing went as expected. Yep, that's right. Coast Guard to the rescue. About 5 miles in the river, we noticed that our fuel burn rate was extremely high, and we were fixing to run out of fuel, which made no sense given we had just fueled up. We have tow insurance, and we called for a tow, but unfortunately, a tow company that will remain anonymous for now refused to come get us. They left us stranded on the Mississippi River. We had no choice but to call for a pan-pan, which is kind of like a mayday, and ask the Coast Guard to help us out. And they did just that. Our tax dollars hard at work. The following morning, we found ourselves at Cypress Cove Marina in Venice, Louisiana, the southernmost tip of the state. We were grateful to be safe again, but our next step was to prep for what we knew was coming, which was more bad weather. Within 48 hours, we went from this to this. The entire Gulf Coast was hit with a quote-unquote once-in-a-lifetime blizzard. From Galveston, Texas, across the coast to Florida, every beach in the southern U.S. got blasted by a snowstorm. Even the folks at the marina said they had never seen so much snow in their lives in this area. By the time it ended, we had almost 8 inches of snow. With not much to do while the snow came down, we got our snow angel fix in, then settled in good, drank some hot chocolate, watched movies, and found it fascinating to watch our sailboat get covered in snow. Once we began to thaw out, it was time for repairs. We found a mechanic from New Orleans and realized just how bad the situation was, but it had to be done, so we sucked it up and got the repairs started. We also took that time to continue assessing damages on the boat, took care of some routine maintenance, and did our best to soak up what was around us. There wasn't much to do there, but we made the best of it. We saw swamp boats, duck hunters, fishermen, alligator decor, and lots of pelicans. And they like to poop on our boat almost every single day. We also got out almost every day and took a walk on the one road that led to the marina. That was the extent of the activities in the area. The restaurant wasn't open, there's no rental cars or Uber, no other activities, nothing but a small convenience store and a marina hotel with laundry, which was really nice. We even found the southernmost road in Louisiana. We got to enjoy some beautiful sunsets and met some really nice people who work at the marina. One of them even gave us a ride into town to shop at the local Dollar General, since that was the only place to get provisions. As the days wound down and the fog began to settle in, we kept asking ourselves every day, stay tuned.